hope with prevention is that you can drastically reduce the number of sexual assaults happening.
It's also about promoting those good things that act as buffers, a buffer system against this. So it's about promoting healthy relationships and healthy sexuality so that not only do you have a buffer against all these factors that might be contributing to hurtful choices that people make, but also you want to promote those good things because they lead to people making choices that are enriching and healthy and positive for them and other people.
What I get in middle school all the time, oh, I was just playing. And you know what? I was just playing is hurting someone else.
YouTube and Facebook, and the way it affects us at school is that texting and sexting and Facebook comments, that person's a slut.
There's abusive dating situations. There's young men that are controlling relationships. There's inappropriate language being used constantly in the hallways with sexual overtones to it and things that are just, we would say as adults, are clearly inappropriate. So the school needs really an all-out effort. I would say a full-court press.
There's got to be something we can do in the community to kind of help kids have better relationships and understand boundaries.
We hope to build sustainable programs at each of these schools by offering teacher training and support as they develop their own programs in the schools. That frees us up to move on to another set of schools in a few years. So eventually we can expand and make sure that all the schools in our service area have sustainable, comprehensive prevention programs. It's very much on a train-the-trainer model.
It's very important that we start with young children, and we're fortunate here in that the schools have kindergarten programs where we can begin. The littlest children are learning certainly about respect for their body, that their bodies are special. Children can begin to learn empathy very, very young, even at a preschool age. And they can do this by playing with dolls. They can do it with lessons, working and sharing with other children, and then build on that as they get older. During the 2010-2011 school year, we'll be working with 3rd and 4th graders at Jackson Via Elementary, and we'll be working in a classroom setting there. We'll also be working with Walker Upper Elementary students, and in that setting, 5th and 6th graders, we're working with after-school clubs.
At Buford Middle School, we're working with all of the athletic teams. So what they're learning is just what is sexual harassment and why is it a problem. They're developing skills for empathy. They're learning how to speak up when they see something wrong. They're learning how to set boundaries and respect other people's boundaries. But the main goal is really that they become leaders in their school. We know that athletes often do have a lot of influence among their peers, and that's part of why we focused on them, that they have so much possibility for leadership. And this is sort of based in the idea of bystander intervention, that if they're developing healthy norms and skills to speak up if they see something wrong, whether it's, a little comment here or there, if they have the ability and the guts and the skill to say, hey, man, that's not cool what you just said, to one of their friends, then they have the power to really change our community as they're growing older and influencing their peers.
Well, the great things that I've been seeing so far is actually, all of a sudden I have these student athletes who are beginning to understand what a healthy relationship is. And guess what they're doing? They're beginning to educate other students. What? All of a sudden I'm hearing a football player saying, that could be viewed as sexual harassment. Really? So that's been cool. And I've heard that a couple of times here this year. And I think that's a direct result of this program.
I think if we instill in them those things that we really want them to do and say it's okay to say no, I think peer pressure says we have to say yes to whatever's popular for the moment. And it's okay to be their own individual self.
So bystander intervention is really about being somebody who speaks up for doing the right thing at all times, as much as possible, even when it's just little things, because we know that the little things lead to the big things. we really want to stop this stuff from happening, we have to take a proactive role. And so we're providing teacher training to all the schools because the teachers are really the ones that are there in the trenches day in, day out. They see what happens in the hallways, and they have the chance to respond or not respond to all the little things that are happening every day.
It's overwhelming for teachers to know what's a really effective, efficient way. I want to support my students. I want them to be able to focus in the classroom.
Primary prevention is looking at change in a much broader sense than just changing to have a child responsible for himself. Changing in a broader sense, we're looking at personal changes, relationship changes and community changes in the community, as well as societal changes as well. And this is a much broader approach because we're reaching out to other avenues in the children's life. For example, we're reaching out to the home and the school, of course, to meet the children. We're also reaching out to the community. And the community plays a great role in the lives of children in that they have many clubs children belong to, sporting groups, choirs, religious church groups. And so all of these people are stakeholders in primary prevention and in developing our child's safety.
So we're reaching out to parents by providing workshops through all of the schools in our area. We're collaborating with each school to help set up those workshops and put them on and communicate with all the parents. We'll be having some webinars soon, so online resources for parents to learn more. A lot of it is about skill building. A lot of parents are scared to talk to their kids about dating or sexuality, but we know that if we're going to prevent this, that parents talking to their kids is one of the primary things that needs to happen.
Well, the outcomes of this pilot prevention program differ based on age and grade level, but include improved empathy, bystander intervention skills, respect for other children, an understanding of where they can get help, and a commitment to gender equality.
So I think my vision of a world without sexual violence would be one where where there's no fear anymore, where you're not afraid to be in relationships, where there's not anxiousness about, how am I supposed to behave as a girl or a boy or a man or a woman in this relationship.
So when people ask what a world free of sexual violence looks like, I would say it looks pretty similarly or can be included in what a world or a community marked by healthy sexuality looks like. And when I say healthy sexuality, what I mean is that sexuality is a force for good in people's lives, and it is viewed as only being a force for good, that it should only be a force for good, that it should never be used to hurt people, that it should never be used to as a crucible for control or so on and so forth.
So my hope is that we do bring together our community and we become one school community, and it becomes well known that at least in this particular school community, it's not tolerated. Parents know it, community members know it, staff knows it, and our students, they all know it and they believe it and they live it every day.
And hopefully there's going to come a point in society where all of society will make it very clear that if you do these things, you become the outcast because we're not accepting them. Right now, there's too many people afraid to speak out.
It really does take the village to raise a child.
They deserve to be free to live and to learn and to explore their potential.
We would invite all of you to join us at SARA in our pledge to provide primary prevention for all children in the area.